Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Change of background here. Let me know what you think of the environment change. Saves me shooting from my desk. Thought this is a nicer scenery. You get to see my book collection. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this movie review. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. So let's begin with the first one, The Unexpected Journey. This is very much an introduction to the Hobbit book. It goes through chapters 1 to 7 and we get a good idea, a rough idea of the Dwarfs, of Erebor, Thorin, Thror and Thrain. We get a good glimpse of Tauriel, who's an Elvish king. We also get a good idea of, a very nice idea of Bilbo as a young Bilbo, Gandalf, and so on. So the first one takes a very slow look at things, takes a very orthodox approach, but this is because this is the first third of the book. You can't really expect much from it. This though is the meat of the book, and this is where we expect the action. So this is where, in this film, we pick up where we left off. Pick up with Bilbo, Thorin and his company of dwarves on their way to Erebor with Gandalf. Now I'm going to talk about the characters because I feel the characters are a big role in this film. Let's talk about the dwarves first. The dwarves, as always, fantastic. As in the first one, they play their roles individually very well. Thorin is a commanding, straight to the point. He wants Erebor, he wants his gold, he wants the Arkenstone. That's what he wants. You can sense that by the way he gives commands, the way his attitude, his emotions, his look towards the scenarios and situations he gets involved in. You've got Dwalin, who sort of backs up Thorin in a sense and really plays his role really well. Balin, as always, I love Balin. He's a funny character. I love his big white bushy beard. It's like Santa. Then you've got the other dwarves, who again, as in the first film, are really vague. You don't really get a good sense of their background or their thinking. They're very vague and very transparent. Oh, no, actually, that's the wrong word. They're very opaque. You don't really see what they're thinking, what's really, who they are in a sense. So Gandalf in this one is actually, I would say, worse than the first one, but that's a good thing. He's very straight to the point. He's got one-liners. He doesn't say more than a sentence at a time. Simple as that. Now Bilbo, as always, is this great character, great intuition, innovation. He's got a good mind. He spots things that other people just can't spot. He can get out of danger quickly in bad situations. Then we move on to, I'm going to move to the Orcs here. We've got Azog, who again, as in the first one, plays this really bad, evil orc, pale orc, who plays his role really well. Very menacing and very scary. You really don't want to be in a fight with him. He has this henchman or commander called Borg, who he uses as a sort of a hitman to go out to assassinate these dwarves for him. Now the rest of the orcs in this movie have got a visual change. In fact, in the first one they were very grey, put it that way. They were grey. I don't know if I got a grey colour, I can show you, but I haven't. They're now very black. They're dark, they're evil, they're black, there's no lightness to them, which is interesting. And the funny thing is I don't know why, but I prefer the orcs from the first Hobbit, not this one. I don't know why. I think it's the CGI, but we'll get onto the CGI later in the review. Next we get to the Elves, the woodland Elves. Let's start with Legolas. Makes a very great intro into this movie with his great hatred for dwarves. It's fantastic. His character, as in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, is played fantastically, flawlessly, with no issues at all. Then you got Tauriel. She's a very interesting character. I've seen this movie twice. Now the first time I saw it, I did like her character, but not as much as I thought I would have done. The second time I watched it, I loved her character. Her character just exploded into the cinema. She's got this weird relationship with Legolas and Thranduil, but at the same time, she builds this relationship which you feel grow through the movie with Keely, because the dwarves, as they're going through Mirkwood, get captured by the elves and get put into prison. She's then talking to Keely in the prison cell, and you feel a relationship build up, which is really interesting, and you can see the jealousy in Legolas, which you didn't see that much in the trilogy, Lord of the Rings trilogy, but here you get to see the real jealousy inside Legolas. It's really fantastic. Then we get to Thranduil. Fantastic character. I would say one of my favourite characters again of the entire film, if not I'll put him at number one. And the reason being is just the way he's played. You know, he's actually played like a real woodland elf king. You know, he's stuck up. You know, he doesn't care about anything out of his kingdom. You know, and he's just straight to the point and just fantastic. Really plays himself really well. Finally, actually, you know what? We'll move forward to the CGI. There were really only two problems with CGI. There are many other problems with CGI. There's a green screen issue in the barrel sequence. I think there's a blue screen issue as well in the barrel sequence. I think another reviewer spotted it. I couldn't spot it. I spotted the green screen, didn't spot the blue screen. But there's two issues. One, both are in Lake Town, coincidentally. The first is Legolas fires a bow at an orc. Now the orc is standing next to a pillar, and imagine I'm the orc and here's the pillar. The arrow hits the pillar, but the orc it's supposed to hit the orc, and it hits the pillar, and you see the entire arrow here in front of the orc, but the orc is dead. I'd say that's either a problem with shooting, acting, or CGI. One of the three. What was the other one? The other one is, I don't know if this is CGI or just plain stupid shooting, is a fight between Legolas and Borg, when Legolas has the Goblin Cleaver, and he goes to stab Borg. And I'm not entirely sure whether he's supposed to stab him or not, because you see the blade in between Borg's arm here, and it's a bit, you can physically see it, and it's a bit bad. But apart from those parts, it wasn't actually that bad. The CGI was actually really good. Not as good as the first one, but still up to scratch. That brings us on to Smaug. I know I said earlier I put Thranduil as number one character. Scrap that. I put Smaug as number one character of all time. Well, not of all time now, that's a joke. But the CGI for him is flawless. There were a few, what can I say, frame rate drops I could see as there's a scene of Bilbo and Smaug. Just there's a big scene. It's overly extenuated for no reason at all, just because it's amazing. But there's a scene, and you see Smaug's body just going over Bilbo, and you can sort of see frame rate drop or frame tearing. I know it's not the scales on the dragon, but you could see it a bit jittery because it separates the two from the actual video and the CGI. And the only other problem again with Smaug was the voiceover. Benedict Cumberbatch is a really good actor and he's got a really strong accent, but I feared that when they did this really long sequence of his voice, because we didn't really get to hear his voice in the first one, this one's got a bigger sequence. So I thought, how's it going to work? Now, to be honest, at the start of the conversation there were a few problems. You could hear a bit of his accent, but that soon disappeared, and the sound team really just did an amazing job at almost equalising out Benedict's voice and just bringing out Smaug. You know, this menacing, this evil dragon. You know, it's fantastic. I would have to say, you know, if you're going to see the movie, just see it for him. Smaug is just one of a kind. Honestly, it's one of those CGI moments you love. So, I've talked about CGI, I've talked about the characters, I've talked about where it lies within the book. Overall, the movie is fantastic. I mean, I would easily rate this an 8 out of 10. I rate the first Hobbit about an 8.5 to a 9. The reason why I don't rate this one that much is because it is a lot more fast-paced. And the problem with a fast-paced movie is you haven't got as much time to admire the scenes, and it's harder to orchestrate a fast movie. You will find problems, and this is no exception. There are CGI issues, acting issues, shooting issues, but they're quite minimal compared to the entire movie, which is about 2.5 hours long. It's a fantastic movie. I urge everyone to watch it. I've seen it twice now. I'm happy to go see it a third. So yeah, that's my review of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Not much more I can say really, apart from this is one great movie and I urge everyone to watch it. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.